The Fitbit Ionic is not the company's first attempt at a smartwatch. That would be the terrible surge. It's not their second attempt at a smartwatch either. That would be last year's lackluster Blaze. Instead, it represents their third attempt at launching a successful smartwatch. This time is different though, as it's the first time they've attempted this since their acquisition of the smartwatch startup Pebble. I'm James Frew from MakeUseOf.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Fitbit Ionic and working out whether it's something you should buy. As the smartwatch market has matured over the past couple of years, so have the designs. They've gone from pieces of technology strapped to your wrists, often bulky looking things, to something more fashionable, something that you'd be willing to wear and be proud to wear on any occasion. Fitbit seems to have missed this though, and has instead produced a piece of technology that you strap to your wrist. The oversized device looks almost a bit uncomfortable on your wrist. The large square screen stands out. Now this wouldn't be necessarily a problem if it weren't for the large bezel that runs all the way around the screen, reducing the screen size and just filling up with wasted space. The watch's Gorilla Glass fronted LCD color touchscreen is augmented with 3 hardware buttons, one on the left and 2 on the right. The one on the left takes you back to the home screen, whereas the 2 on the right are shortcuts to fitness tracking. Fitbit claims that the body is made of aerospace aluminium for improved durability too. The Ionic has been manufactured using a process called nanomolding, which means that the entire body and all the insides were made in one continuous go. This means that there's no seams or gaps anywhere in the device. This is likely how Fitbit has managed to create its first water-resistant device. The heart rate sensors are on the rear of the device, and coupled with the company's Pure Pulse tracking system, allow you to accurately track your heart rate. The Ionic also comes with options to customize your straps, so you can switch them out depending on your environment. On most other smartwatches, this is a complicated and quite fiddly process, but luckily Fitbit has actually considered that you might not want that, and has instead made it incredibly simple. Simply depressing the button on the back of the strap allows it to pop out of place. You simply slot in the new one and you're ready to go. Fitbit's ambition for the Ionic is they will sit comfortably alongside Android Wear devices and the Apple Watch. With that goal in mind, Fitbit has created their own operating system for the Ionic called Fitbit OS. The new OS comes with the ability to run third-party apps on the device. At launch, this includes Starbucks, Strava, and Pandora. However, they only launched the SDK for developers a couple of weeks before launch, so expect it to take a little while before you start to see apps filtering in. One of the major strengths of the old Pebble smartwatches was their astonishing battery life. Luckily, that's one of the strengths that Fitbit has inherited, as the Ionic can last up to 4 days on a single charge, or up to 10 hours when consistently using the GPS. The Ionic struggles though when it comes to notifications. You go to the home screen, swipe up to view any notifications, but that's all you can do. You can't interact with any of the notifications, you can't respond to any messages, you can't view any of the messages, and because there's no built-in microphone, you can't use voice to dictate a response either. This is one of the major disadvantages to Fitbit using their own operating system, as Android Wear and watchOS are heavily baked into their respective platforms. It may also be a sign of Fitbit OS's short development time. It was only 9 months prior to the release of the Ionic that Fitbit actually acquired Pebble. To go alongside the newly formed Fitbit OS, the Ionic has an inbuilt NFC chip for contactless payments. Instead of opting to use an already existing payments processor, they have created their own, which they have imaginatively titled Fitbit Pay. At launch, only 6 US banks and 3 Australian banks are supported. That means here in the UK I wasn't able to test it, but from all the Fitbit promotional material it does look like it works in exactly the same way as Apple Pay or Android Pay. With Apple and Google already having dominance in this market, it does make you curious why they chose to go this route, especially since they have so few banks signed up. Fitbit's main business has been in fitness wearables, and it's here that they really make the Ionic shine. The most notable addition is the 50-meter water resistance that the device has. This means that you can now go for a run in the rain, use it in the shower, or even use it for swimming tracking. Coupled with its long battery life, it means that the Ionic is a device that you could legitimately use all of the time, even overnight. This means you can take advantage of the inbuilt sleep tracking, which, although it's available on other smartwatches, you can't use because they're usually on charge overnight. Some of the other features that make Fitbit's fitness trackers so popular are available here too. Automatic activity tracking means that there's no fiddling with your device before you set off on your run or bike ride. As we've already mentioned, Fitbit's Pure Pulse heart rate tracking means that you can track your heart rate on the go in real time and also get accurate calorie counts. The built-in GPS also means that you can ditch your phone, leave it at home, while going out to exercise, meaning one less thing to carry. In 2015, Fitbit launched a personal training service called Fitstar, which has now been rebranded as Fitbit Coach. This is now available directly from your watch as well. Fitbit's bread and butter has always been step tracking, so I compared the step count between my Charge HR and the Ionic and found that I got exactly the same results. Being a Fitbit fan, I'd love to tell you that the only problem was the uninspiring design, but that wouldn't be quite true. After the initial pairing and setup of the device, it said that there was an update ready to be installed. It's not uncommon for day one updates, especially in something like gaming, so I went and let it install. The Fitbit app said it would take about 10 minutes, but fast forward an hour and a quarter and it had only just finished. For a $50 game this would be annoying, but for a $300 smartwatch to require almost an hour and a quarter to update on day one is a little bit frustrating. Once the Ionic was ready to go, I ran into a couple more problems. I could never get the GPS to connect. The weather app would never display my location despite me granting it permission on the phone. And even when I wasn't wearing the watch, there would still be a heart rate displayed. The most critical problem I encountered was that I couldn't get the Fitbit Ionic to sync with my Fitbit app on my phone. When I opened the app, it would show me all the right stats that were displayed on the Ionic as well. But then if I'd go to the web dashboard, they weren't there. I'd check again at the app and it would say that the Fitbit had never synced since I initially set it up. In the end, I found the only way to resolve this problem was to factory reset the smartwatch and to reinstall the app, and then it was fine. Given that I use an Android device, you could put these problems down to variability amongst the Android devices. However, I use the Google Pixel, which is seen as the gold standard for a clean Android experience. I turned off battery optimization for the Fitbit app, and I granted it all the locations it required, and it still had all these issues. As I said, I am a massive Fitbit fan. I've used a Fitbit since I first bought my One in October 2013, and since then it's not really left my side. Fitbit's previous trackers have always maintained a reasonable price point. Even the most recent ones have usually only just tipped over $100. The Ionic, however, is a different thing. It tries to wrap the penchant that they've got for fitness tracking into a really rather expensive $300 smartwatch. Even the most successful smartwatches like the Apple Watch are still quite a niche product, as no one's really been able to work out a practical use for a smartwatch. The Ionic then finds itself stuck in the same trap as most other smartwatches. It's not overly attractive, it's not overly useful, but one thing it is really good at is fitness tracking. And that's the main problem with the Ionic. There's not a good reason to want to buy the Ionic over any of Fitbit's other trackers. The Ionic probably isn't worth the $300 investment, at least not yet anyway. Fitbit OS shows some promise and it seems quite exciting. Fitbit Pay is ambitious and might even challenge the dominance of the two market leaders. And just like the Pebble devices before it, its battery life is its strongest selling point. None of these really mean that you should invest in this right now, but it does show something exciting might be on the way for Fitbit in the future. Thanks for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, make sure to press like and subscribe, and head over to MakeUseOf.com for the full review.